It may seem weird to make a video on Kirby's 20th anniversary celebration. The franchise is over 30 years old now, and well over a dozen games have been released in the franchise since then. But this collection is honestly one of the most fascinating games in the Kirby series, and it's a damn shame it went relatively under the radar for a lot of fans. Today I'm talking about the 2012 classic Kirby's Dream Collection Special Edition. And no, the Special Edition isn't a different version or anything, it says that on literally every copy of the game. No sense in wasting time on an intro, let's jump into this blast from the not-so-distant past. Immediately upon starting the game, we're greeted by a super cute and charming intro cutscene featuring the main cast and their sprites from Kirby's Adventure. Kirby eats his own warp star for some reason, and everyone transforms into their designs from Return to Dreamland, the most recent mainline title at the time of this game's release. I have a lot of nostalgia for this era of the franchise, and hot take, but this is still my favorite design for King Dedede. After the cutscene, we're presented with three options: new challenge stages, classic titles, and Kirby's history. Let's start with that last one, by far the most bizarre and fascinating. Here, Kirby is stuck in a hallway in space where time only exists from 1991 to 2012. He can never leave, just endlessly running back and forth for all eternity. This place used to creep me out as a kid, and honestly I can kinda see why, but what can we actually do here? Kirby can eat whatever game's released for that certain year, and you get some info about them and usually a trailer to watch too. This is cute, I guess, but has lost most of its luster by 2025 since so many titles are missing. But to make up for it, there's also random facts for each year as well, and these are genuinely hilarious. In 1994, the first genetically engineered tomatoes went on sale. In 1995, the DVD format was announced. We don't get an entry for its release, just its announcement. And in 2001, an unnamed 16-year-old climbed Mount Everest. After doing some research, I found it was this guy, so congratulations to him. In 2005, the Stanley Cup went unclaimed for the first time since 1919 due to a lockout. In 2007, a 10-ton ice cream float was made. How are these things even in the top 100 events for their respective years? After having a good laugh, I decided to try eating the Dream Collection itself. There's an incomplete list of Kirby games and a music video. I don't remember that from when I was a kid. What do we got? Okay, we're in some kind of studio here. This is awfully drawn out. I'm not sure how this is supposed to entertain a kid. Oh, they're getting ready. They're getting their stuff ready. We're getting closer. Why? Why couldn't we just skip to the actual performance? What? In all seriousness, I love fully orchestrated music, so I quite enjoyed the song itself. The last thing I want to talk about in the hallway is the year 2002. Nightmare in Dreamland released this year, which is a great game and all, but this was also the year the Kirby anime first aired in the United States. And they included 3 full-length episodes in this collection for us to watch. I'm very glad they did too, because wow, this show is bizarre. Episode 1, for example, begins with a giant octopus devouring dozens of sheep and spitting their bones in front of this poor guy's house. What does any of this have to do with Kirby, and why is it so needlessly dark? I know Kirby games can get intense, but they usually save that stuff for the end. This is literally the opening of the very first episode of the show. But all is forgiven, because if there's one thing people know about this show, it's that unbelievably catchy theme song.
It comes right back at ya. It comes right back at ya. Give it all that you got. Take your very best shot. It's in the right back at you for sure. Yeah.
I could go on about this show and all the things that make it so strange, but I don't want to be here all night. Maybe if this video by some miracle does well, I'll come back and review these 3 episodes or something, but for now, let's move on to the classic titles. Here you can play 6 different Kirby games: Kirby's Adventure, Kirby Superstar, Kirby 64, and all 3 Dreamland titles. Because these games are so simple, you can play all 6 of them with nothing but a sideways Wii remote, but sadly no other control options are available. Okay, so I'm just finishing up editing, and as it turns out, you can actually use a bunch of different controllers. The Wii's classic controller is supported, even the GameCube controller can be used, though I don't have the original Wii to prove it myself. This next portion of the video and even the conclusion are just completely inaccurate now, so please pretend I'm just far more positive than I actually am. I'm way past the point of no return and have put almost 10 hours into this already, and it's been almost 2 weeks since my last real video. Alright, look, to be blunt, I'm not willing to put in the effort necessary to rewrite the entire thing. This video is not the best it can be, and you know what? That's okay. I'm giving a speech at the end of this video to explain why that is, but for now, let's get back into things. This really sucks since playing for more than an hour or 2 with the Wii remote cramps up my hands pretty bad. And to be completely honest with you, it kinda ruins the entire game. All 6 of these titles are available on modern hardware that support far more comfortable controllers at this point, so there's really no need to seek out this collection anymore. I still love this thing to death and have a ton of nostalgia for it, but realistically all it has to offer is an outdated timeline, a couple anime episodes, and one other thing. Kirby's Return to Dreamland, as I mentioned earlier, was the most recent main title in the franchise at the time of this game's release, so the developers decided to add an extra mode using its assets. That mode is called New Challenge Stages, and there's actually a bit of a story here. Magolor wants to build a park for Kirby, and despite the events of Return to Dreamland, he blindly trusts him with no questions asked. Yeah, that's pretty in character for him, I guess. The park is split into 3 zones: Happiness Hall, Apricot Atrium, and Last Land. Putting the first letter of each section together spells out HAL, the team responsible for pretty much the entire Kirby franchise. I love the naming Easter eggs HAL puts in their games, and I'm glad to see that even a tiny mode like this one still got the same amount of love and respect as the rest of the series. But what about the challenges themselves? These are special levels designed around specific copy abilities, and this is exactly what the Kirby series needs. Traditional Kirby, while a lot of fun, features pretty generic level design that never tests you on any specific powers. Since there's no way to know what ability the player will or will not have at a certain point throughout the game, the developers are forced to make simplistic and accessible challenges for any and all abilities, severely damaging the moment-to-moment gameplay. I enjoy Kirby for the hidden collectibles, fast-paced ability switching, and over-the-top boss encounters, but just playing through the game to get to the final boss and nothing else is honestly kind of a boring slog. These ability rooms are so fun because the player's options are far more rigid, allowing the developers to test your skills with damn near every move in your arsenal. These were one of the best things added to Return to Dreamland, and I'm so glad we got even more of them here. But there's only 13 levels, 6 challenge stages, 3 combat chambers, and 4 Magolor races. I shouldn't complain about the low number considering this is just a side mode in a compilation game, but they're so unbelievably addicting and super satisfying to master. For this video, I decided to go for a platinum medal on each and every stage, the highest rank you can earn. To get it, you'll have to collect every coin, defeat every enemy, avoid taking damage, and do it all with enough time remaining to push your score over the edge into platinum territory. This type of challenge is pretty rare for the Kirby series, but it actually works surprisingly well here. The basic challenge stages are made up of Sword, Parasol, Spark, Whip, Wing, and Normal, which is Kirby's Vanilla's moveset. Each of these stages feature 2 hidden rooms off the beaten path, and adding an element of exploration to stages based on timing and precision is actually kinda genius. At first I thought it would disrupt the flow and ruin what makes these stages so enjoyable, but they're actually super fun to track down and incorporate into your route. None of these stages took me more than a half hour to platinum, but Wing and Normal specifically are expertly designed and feel so damn good to play. This part where you're flying through the flaming gears is super satisfying to weave through, and this bonus room that slows down your projectile with water is really creative. Whip is another really well designed one, but only after you know where everything is. The bonus rooms are pretty damn obvious, but it took an embarrassing amount of time for me to collect all the coins. I got gold nearly half a dozen times before realizing I was missing the all coins bonus and just needed to jump up here for these 2 stragglers. After clearing all the challenges within a zone, a Magolor race opens up, where you get to use any of the abilities from that zone. You have to race Magolor to the end of the stage as he uses magic to summon enemies and other hazards to block your path. These are cute and I really like the change of pace, but since you can choose between various abilities, the level design takes a bit of a hit here. Magolor's influence mostly balances this out though, especially because if you're not fast enough, he can take the coins for himself, which obviously ruins any chance of a platinum medal. After beating Magolor's 3rd race, the credits roll as Kirby walks through the 5 Popstar worlds from Return to Dreamland, painfully slowly. I watched the entire credits hoping something interesting was going to happen, but all you get at the end is Kirby standing on a pedestal around a bunch of his enemies. Riveting. But if you go back into the park after this, you actually unlock 2 more levels, a 4th Magolor race and a 3rd combat chamber. The Magolor race is nothing special, just a harder version of the 3rd. The combat chamber though? Okay, time to talk about these. All of the challenge stages I've talked about so far use abilities found in Return to Dreamland, but 2 of the 3 combat chambers bring back one of the coolest copy abilities in the Kirby series, Smash Bros. This gives Kirby his moveset from the Super Smash Bros. Series, specifically Melee. In that game, he's almost universally considered to be a bottom 3 character due to his lackluster mobility and throws that just straight up don't work for some reason. While the Dream Collection does limit Kirby's moveset compared to Melee, each individual move has been buffed to the moon, and it makes this ability easily one of my favorites in the series. And thankfully, the combat chamber that introduces the ability does a fantastic job showing off what makes it so much fun to use. The other 2 chambers though, oh god, what the hell happened here? Every other challenge stage took me 30 minutes or less to platinum, but these 2 stages took me over 2 hours each. The first one is Fighter, and the issue here is simply trying to make precise inputs with a dinky little Wii remote. Fighter has one of the largest move pools in the Kirby series, and I was having a hell of a time consistently getting the moves I wanted. This chamber asks you to use a large majority of these moves, and trying to alternate between holding and pressing the 2 button can be really finicky and awkward. Eventually though, with a lot of skill and a little luck, I got the platinum. The Smash Combat Chamber EX is the final level we have to look at, and there's a lot going on here. Smash is obviously a blast to control, but this chamber is honestly just horrible in every regard. The Fighter one frustrated me and cramped up my hands, but at least it was well designed. This is literally just a boss rush against every mini-boss from Return to Dreamland, and Wispy Woods for some reason too, with very simple and boring filler rooms in between. Kirby games are infamous for boss rush modes, but stages like this show that that alone isn't enough to make an engaging level. It was hard, yeah, but only because I had to do the same quick boss kills over and over again. I'm glad I eventually got the platinum, but if I wasn't making this video, I probably would have just given up and moved on to something more fun. There are only 2 good things about this chamber. This section here, where you have to use Kirby's neutral air to avoid breaking the ground below, is actually really satisfying and fun to play, even if it is a pretty massive choke point near the end. The music is randomly chosen between two options, a remix of the boss theme from Kirby Superstar that you've been listening to, and... Miracle Matters theme from Kirby 64. This is not only one of my favorite Kirby songs, but one of my favorite video game songs of all time. I never would have expected a track like this to come from a Kirby game, and it's absolutely hilarious, and the fact that the Kirby series is willing to completely flip your expectations like this is one of my favorite things about the franchise. After 2 miserable hours of peak gaming and headbanging, I finished off the stage and got rewarded with the King's Trophy for getting a platinum on every stage. Technically, you could also get a platinum for each individual copy ability in the Magolor races, but no, I think I'm alright, thank you. And that is pretty much everything I have to say about Kirby's Dream Collection. Honestly, if this game just made one simple change and supported the Wii Classic controller, I would easily call this the best anniversary game ever made. Even still, I'm glad I decided to revisit this one. It was a great reintroduction to the Kirby series that hopefully opens the door for a bunch of Kirby videos on my channel going forward. I'm not expecting this video to perform well, but a nice palate cleanser like this is exactly what I need after the chaos that was my Tropical Freeze series. Next time, we're actually sticking with the challenge stages from both this game and Return to Dreamland as I try to complete them all with as few coins as possible. This was a pretty experimental video for me where I just kinda talked about whatever I felt like for 10 minutes, so please let me know what you think of the format. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video, and I'll see you all when we get there. Oh wait, that's right. I promised a speech justifying the long wait since my last video and the inaccuracy of some of the script. Here we go. I'm taking a pretty big risk with this one since I've never seen anything like this from another YouTuber, but I'm really proud of how it came out, and if it resonates with even one of you, I'd consider it worth my time. In life, no matter what thing it is you do, people are always going to be better than you. You can be really damn good at something, even exceptionally good, but there's always somebody better. The thing you always hear people say in response is something like, oh, it's fine, keep your head up, or you're still better than most people. And those things are true, but there's something else here too that more people need to talk about. People are better than you because they try harder. They're better because they're willing to sacrifice way more of their personal lives to get better at that thing than you are. What you need to ask yourself is this: is getting better at that thing worth sacrificing so much more of my life? It's true what they say, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. But it's also true that accomplishing that thing is going to come at a cost, and usually a pretty hefty one at that. I've been getting dozens of comments telling me how good my channel is and how much I've improved, but I'm telling you right now, I will never be close to the best content creator on the platform. Not because I don't have passion or love for the work, but because I'm not willing to sacrifice more of my life to do better. I'm not willing to miss out on family reunions or give up relaxing on the weekends. I'm not willing to spend less time with my girlfriend or spend less time at the gym. This channel is just not important enough to justify that, at least not right now. Maybe that'll change in the future if this somehow becomes a consistent source of income, but for now, no. And you know what? I have absolutely no shame in admitting all of this because there's absolutely nothing wrong with living a more balanced lifestyle. The people that are the best at something have given up so much of their time, effort, and relaxation to reach that point, and from my experience, they aren't even the happiest people a lot of the time. All of that to say this: if you're not willing to make sacrifices and pursue a greater goal, that doesn't automatically mean you're lazy or that you're a failure. It simply means that you want a more balanced lifestyle, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. There are exceptions to this. Some people are just naturally gifted and capable of peak performance with little sacrifice. And some people, quite frankly, are just lazy and aren't the best at something because they can't get off their lazy asses to try. But for most of us, the level you've reached is the level you have chosen to reach, and whether you're the best in the world or complete dog shit, there is nothing wrong with it so long as you're happy. For real this time, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in a few days for the Coinless Challenge.